Gents, how we doing, boys? Good. Just want to thank you all for coming here. I really appreciate all of you. I've had the pleasure to meet a few of you guys here today, so pleasure meeting the ones that I've just met and continue to get to know you guys better. For all of you that I do know, thank you guys for coming as well. Thank you guys for inviting people that you know to come along and be part of this. You may be asking why I wanted to assemble a group of young men to come together, and it's as simple as that. We're young men. We need guidance in life. We need direction in life. We need to grow and build, and why not do this together, right? It takes a village at the end of the day. It takes one man picking the other man up and helping each other find prosperity in life, living a good life. And how do we live a good life? I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm still learning that myself. I'm no pro by any means, right? I'm just some kid who decided to get a bunch of fellows together. So once again, thank you guys. And by the way, before I get into it, we got more than enough food. In fact, they got seconds back in the kitchen. So don't feel like you're overeating or anything. Make sure to go at it. That being said, guys, this is all I know. It's my faith. That I want to share with you guys today. This is all I know here in principle and doing good works and just living a life worthwhile. I'm not trying to convert you here. This is not church on Sunday, even though it is Sunday. I'm just offering perspective from a very profound figure in this book, in the Bible. You may or may not have heard of him. His name's King Solomon. Is anybody familiar with Solomon in the Bible? It's okay if you're not. Okay. You may be more familiar with King David. Does David sound familiar? Okay. Maybe even more familiar, his opponent Goliath, the roller coaster that you ride on Six Flags. So just a short story about Solomon, about this gentleman that we're going to get into. Solomon inherited his father's kingdom. He inherited the kingdom of Jerusalem from his father, King David. Solomon, in fact, he reminds me, not to get political here, but Solomon actually reminds me a lot of Donald Trump.
Get him!
Get him! He reminds me a lot of Donald Trump in the case where Trump, he had that, it was one of those times at the podium that he said, my father loaned me a small loan of $1 million, right? In the same breath, Solomon, he gained a small loan of his father's kingdom. And what he did with that was the significance in it. He gained a mass inheritance of an entire kingdom. But what he did with that to amplify it and to grow it and to create even more out of it is what we're going to get into today. So in the book of 1 Kings, you'll find the whole history of Solomon and what he did. Solomon was a young man. It's estimated that he was probably in his teenage years when his father had died and the kingdom was bestowed upon him. So God came to Solomon in a vision and he said, Solomon, I give you a choice and the choice is yours, and whatever you want, I will give to you. As the new king of Jerusalem, what do you want? Solomon thought about it and he said, you know what? You've treated my father really well. You've blessed him with a lot in life. And I see this whole kingdom here, full of people. I need to know how to guide them. I need to know what to do. I need to know how to build and grow abundance. I need wisdom. Solomon could have asked for anything. He could have asked for riches. He could have asked for power. But in the end, he asked for wisdom. He asked for guidance. And the Lord was well pleased with Solomon requesting that. So down along the line, throughout all of Solomon's reign, throughout all of his reputation, everything that he did, built, and amassed to was rooted from wisdom, and he became the wisest, wealthiest, most powerful man that had lived on earth. To this day and age, it's theorized that Solomon's net worth is estimated to be more than Caesar's bank account, than Nathan's bank account, than Carlos's, than Donald Trump's bank account, than Elon Musk's. He amounted to be the wealthiest man on earth. His net worth amassed to be about $2.9 trillion in today's day and age.
He doesn't know how to
What was that?
You don't know how to space that.
That's true. That's true. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is this guy absolutely dominated in his heyday, and he's got a lot to say about that. So you may be familiar with the books that he's written in the Word, one being Proverbs, which is Solomon in his prime, talking all about it, talking about wisdom, seeking wisdom, finding that guidance. And then Ecclesiastes, the book that I find a lot of joy in and a lot of enlightenment, is what he wrote here in the aftermath of everything. This was Solomon close to his end. This was him, again, amassing the riches, amassing the power, but then in a season in his life, getting rid of that too, giving that up, falling in folly, foolishness, right? And pleasures, and things that he saw as entertainment, but things that ultimately took him away and distanced himself from the important things and ruling a kingdom and honoring God. So without a further ado, we're going to get right into it. Solomon talks about 4 different things very profoundly in the book of Ecclesiastes. He talks about how most things in this life are meaningless. Most things in life are simply chasing after the wind. And then third, he says, there's nothing new under the sun. And then fourth, we're going to get into those 3 after all this, but fourth is toil. I found here, and it may be a few more times that he mentions it, but he mentions it at least about 5 or 6 times within this book, that a man can find great joy in his toil, in the work that he does, that he can find joy and gladness in the purpose he finds for his life, for his family, friends, co-workers, acquaintances, whatever it may be. I briefly wrote here, satisfaction is found when we work our gift, or when we work as a gift from God. Our toil becomes an act of worship when we pour into hearts into serving others with excellence. Work is not merely about making a living. It is an opportunity to glorify God through our gifts, blessing others and enjoying what he has entrusted to us. Serve with joy, be fruitful, be amazed by his hands with our hands and feet. Blessings, gifts, devote yourself to the work he has given you. Be devoted to what you do. I hope today you either fall more in love with what you do or you hate it even more. And that you walk away and you find something that you really want to do. That's what I really hope. Whether it's this or another event that we have as we continue to grow and build this, I hope that's the case. So flipping on the next page here. Every part of life has its season. Solomon gets into saying in Ecclesiastes 3, there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the sun. There's some profound song, I can't remember what it was, but some rock band actually made a song all about this part in Ecclesiastes. But it goes into saying there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to heal and a time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn. I'm spinning all over Ross here. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I didn't notice.
A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to scatter stones and a time to gather them. A time to embrace them. A time to refrain from embracing. A time to search and a time to give up. A time to keep and a time to throw away. A time to tear and a time to mend. A time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time for war and a time for peace. There's a season for every single moment in life. And I want all of you to know that, there's a few guys here that couldn't make it, right? Some people just simply couldn't show up. They didn't feel good. Also, there's some people in their lives that there's a season in their life that they couldn't show up. Whether it was something good or something bad, they couldn't show up, and I hope they're here moving forward. We got the camera rolling for them as well. I can't also lie, it's good content at the same time. So there's a season in everybody's life. So it's always good to honor that for yourself too. Make sure you know when to distance yourself, when it's a season to grow, rebuild, and gather, right? And vice versa. Moving on, God makes all things right. This world is uncontrollable, but it's all governed by God at the same right? But there's an enemy out there. There's people who may be against you, and he makes all things right at the end. Have faith in that. Believe in that. To move on, and this is a very important one, do not idolize work. Hard work is good, but work becomes empty when it replaces peace, trust, or God himself. Better a life of contentment than endless striving. Ecclesiastes 4:6 specifically says, better one handful with tranquility than two handfuls with toil, chasing after the wind. Some people will drive themselves mad with constantly chasing, with constantly working, with overpraising, with trying to play this game of Monopoly in life without appreciating moments like this, right? Moments of brotherhood, moments of being with family, of being with your wife, building a legacy, right? Building something actually worthwhile, spending time with others too. An example of that, I love the movie, if any of you have seen Family Man with Nicolas Cage. Family Man, great movie. It's, to sum it up, it's a movie of this guy, he's a high roller playboy. You know, he lives up in like an insane condo. He has this great job, high net worth, you know, with countless women, all that. But then he meets an angel, and then he goes into this dream that he thought was real of this girl that he actually walked away from to pursue all of this, to ultimately learn that, yes, he had the toil, but ultimately it was all about the family and what he received and the people he spent his life with and shared that with. Highly recommend Family Man. Ross can give you a great review on that too, I'm sure.
Haven't seen it yet, actually.
Haven't seen it?
Haven't seen it.
Well, you gotta let me know your thoughts. Ross says movie reviews over here, guys. Moving on. Two are better than one. God designed us for community, whether in marriage, friendship, business, ministry, brotherhood. Faithful people strengthen one another. They provide support, loyalty, protection, accountability, encouragement, strength, right? Hence is why we're all here. As I said, we're here to build each other up, right? I've strategically placed you with people who may or may not be able to help you out in what you're doing in your professions. But as we grow this more, I hope that even more people will be able to help build each other and grow and, you know, help each other out when needed, right? So again, coming together and things like this, coming together with our families, with our marriages, with our friendships, with our businesses. Solomon in particular, he leveraged this heavily. In fact, it was all about Solomon delegating responsibilities onto others, forming an alliance with other nations, with other kingdoms, in order to advance the success of his kingdom and others, right? He found leverage in using other people and helping other people and forming these alliances. Solomon says, two are better than one. A cord of three strands is not quickly broken. And then also to add on this, it just so happened to be that the verse of the day yesterday, pulling it up here, it's like the only thing I didn't have prepared. Proverbs 17:17, a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. So for what it's worth, I thought that was pretty interesting. That was the verse of the day. Pretty powerful right there. Moving on, wisdom is greater than status. Solomon brings up a scenario of a young man with wisdom who didn't have much compared to a king full of folly, a king who was just out of his mind bonkers. True wisdom is more valuable than wealth, influence, or power. A humble and wise person is better than a powerful fool who refuses correction. And Solomon says, better a poor, wise youth than an old but foolish king. This is kind of like killing two birds or with one stone here with the next few I got. Being approach God with reverence. Let your prayers be thoughtful. And if you make a vow, keep it. Our time on this earth is short, and our time with God is short as well, right? I'm not saying that you shouldn't vent to God about your problems or what you have, but I would urge all of us to be wise in just thinking of what do I really need to get off my chest to God? Instead of just rambling in the heat of the moment, what's on your mind, right? What can you really be praying for? What do you really need? Is it something that you want, or is it something that you need? Know that difference. So going into it, approaching him with reverence, that respect. Come before him to listen to before speaking. Worship should be marked with humility rather than impulsive words. Be captivated by his holiness, fear him, honor him, listen to him. Solomon says, guard your steps when you go to the house of God. So moving on, let your prayers be thoughtful. Do not rush into his presence simply to unload anxiety or make promises in desperation. Bring him your burdens, but trust him rather than bargaining. Prayer is about communion with God, not manipulation. Solomon says, don't be quick with your mouth. It is better to make a vow, not to make a vow, than to make one and not fulfill it. Then moving on, if you make a vow, keep it. If you do make a vow, a promise with God or even yourself, I do it too. I overpromise many things with myself, even just with my day-to-day, my mundane, right? So many tasks that I said, you know what, I would do at this time, and then I push it back for later, then you roll it into the next day, right? We all do it. Make a vow, keep it. Make a vow to yourself, keep it. Make a vow to God, especially, keep it. Avoid making it lightly. Integrity matters at the end of the day. Solomon specifically emphasizes, do not delay to fulfill it. Next one, and I love this one, a good name is priceless. Character produces lasting fruit. Guard your reputation through integrity, humility, and faithfulness. Solomon actually says in Proverbs, again, Solomon in his heyday says, guard your reputation with your life. Your life depends on it. He also says again at the aftermath of his days, saying once again in Ecclesiastes 7, a good name is better than a fine perfume. So about 4 years ago, I worked at a gym called Export, which eventually sold out, and that's about the time I left. But all the corporate people, they would always come and talk about this one guy by the name of, it was like Dave or Dan Hennessy. The only part I could remember was Hennessy, and he made sure everybody remembered that part as well. He would go up to people and say, hey, David Hennessy, nice to meet you. Remember Hennessy, like the whiskey? Make sure to tell your friends and family to come to me. I will sign them up and get them all set for their gym membership. So there'd be an entire floor of salespeople, and all these people would just go to David Hennessy because they said, yeah, my friend, my family member told me to go to David Hennessy. Mind you, people available, but people would wait in lines just to meet with David Hennessy. That's very important. A good name is like a fine perfume. Sorrow often teaches more than comfort. Hate to break it to you. Those hard things in life that we want to avoid, sometimes the greatest lessons come from that. Difficult seasons shape wisdom in ways comfort rarely can. Pain has the power to deepen faith, maturity, compassion, and perspective. We've all heard the saying, soft times create soft men, hard times create wiser men, stronger men, right? Solomon says it is better to go to a house of mourning. Trust God in every season. Celebrate the good seasons, but don't waste the difficult ones. God is sovereign over both, and he works through each of his purposes. Solomon says, when times are good, be happy. When times are bad, consider all these things. And I'm going to go pull up that full length. Let's see. 13 through 14. Consider what God has done. Who can straighten what he has made crooked? When times are good, be happy. But when times are bad, consider this. God has made the one as well as the other. Therefore, no one can discover anything about their future. Ultimately, what Solomon is trying to say here is that some things in life may come off as unpredictable, right? Sometimes you're waiting for the rain to pour, and it's just not happening, right? You've been asking for it. You've been told all you have to do is this, this, and this, and sometimes it doesn't come out as a result. Hate to break it to you, but this life is not perfect, and it's not ever going to be. So I ask all of you in those hard times that have humility and know that ultimately God is in control of all these things, that he is in control of what is blessed amongst all of us in these lives. Don't become overly self-righteous. Holiness is good, but pride disguised as righteousness is dangerous. Remember that only God is perfectly righteous. Be humble. Let God carry what only he can carry. Solomon says, do not be overly righteous. There is no one on earth who is righteous. Ultimately, God is the only one who is righteous, right? Sometimes I think people have a hard time on overstepping on things maybe they shouldn't. That should simply just be in God's control. Don't take everyone's criticism very personally. Solomon gets into detail here on how people say meaningless words at the end of the day. People say things that they don't really mean. Could surely tell you, especially some clients or more people that have tried prospecting, they don't tend to say the nicest things, but take that with a grain of salt at the end of the day.
Criticism is the best feedback you can possibly get.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So don't take it too deeply, right? And then again, kind of reverting back to what I said prior to that, of the self-righteousness, is upright people are rare. Solomon says that amongst all men, I've seen one upright amongst 1,000 men and none amongst 1,000 women. And ultimately, this points to Christ, right? This points to God and being the only righteous and pure one at the end of the day. So the rarity in that, and we got to follow God to understand that. Every person has fallen short here, and it's uncommon because a lot of men who don't seek for wisdom, don't seek for God's guidance, they follow into many schemes, as Solomon says. God created mankind upright. He created man to be righteous. He created man to be pure. But they have gone in search of many schemes, of many things apart from God, right? Going back to the garden, Adam and Eve. They chose that fruit instead of God's commands, right? Going into the God portion, obey the king. Ultimately, our highest king is Christ. Receive his commands with reverence, trust, and joyful obedience. Solomon says, obey the king's command. I say, because you took an oath before God, do not be in a hurry to leave the king's presence. Do not stand up for a bad cause, for he will do whatever he pleases, since a king's word is supreme. Who can say to him, what are you doing? Whoever obeys his command will come to no harm, and the wise heart will know the proper time and procedure. For there is a proper time and procedure for every matter, though a person may be weighed down by certain miseries. Since no one knows the future, who can tell someone else what is to come? As no one has a power over when to contain it, so no one has a power over the time of their death. Again, just the obedience and trust with the king. At the end of the day, make sure to meet with the CEO. I'm not talking the CEO of your business, the CEO of all life itself. God is the CEO at the end of the day. Make sure to have those daily conversations with him. With that, hope belongs to the living. This is the only life where we can capitalize on hope. Because as Solomon says, a living dog is better than a dead lion. If you are alive, you have hope here. Anyone who is among the living has hope. As long as he gives us breath, there is opportunity for repentance, growth, faithfulness, trust, and purpose. Again, into that, as we had said earlier, with unpredictability, God's timing is beyond our control. Success is not determined solely by strength, talent, or intelligence. It's his providence that governs time, opportunity, and outcomes. Solomon says, time and chance happen to them all. Just keep waiting on the rain. It'll come one day, right? Maybe it's come sooner for somebody. Maybe it's a little longer for you. We don't know why. But for whatever reason, it hasn't come your time just yet, and that's okay. Small compromises have great consequences. A little foolishness can damage years of wisdom and honor. Solomon says a little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. All that momentum that you're gaining, right? Everything that you're doing right, Just one slip up can screw it up. I'm not saying one slip up will screw it up, but it can, right? There's always a chance that it can, and it might ultimately bring you back to square one. Moving on, stand firm under pressure. When authority becomes angry with you, remain faithful rather than reacting impulsively. Solomon says, do not leave your post. Be bold, but do it in the right way, especially if we're talking about employment here. Again, like I said, a good name is like a fine perfume. Do it in a professional way, right? Don't get angry yourself. Be right about it, but also speak your truth at the same time. Be bold. Work wisely. Skill and wisdom often accomplish more than mere effort. Work smarter with purpose, preparation, and excellence. Solomon says wisdom brings success. Work smarter, not harder. Words carry life or destruction. The words of affirmation on what you say daily, first to yourself, right? But then upon others. It all roots from yourself first. What do you tell yourself, right? If you're going to say negative stuff to you, there's a chance you're probably going to say that to your coworkers or, your wife or your children, right? Make sure to say positive affirmations. Make sure those words from the mouth, as Solomon puts it, of the wise are gracious. Good leadership blesses people. Healthy communities are built by honorable leaders and faithful workers who serve with integrity rather than selfish ambition. Solomon gives a scenario in saying, blessed is a land whose king is of noble birth. Over on Ecclesiastes 10 here, saying, woe to the land whose king was a servant and whose princes feast in the morning. Blessed is the land whose king is of noble birth and whose princes eat at a proper time for strength and not for drunkenness. Having a good community. I think it's important having that in the workplace, having that in the family, wherever you go. If you don't feel like you have that, fix that. We're young men, right? We have the choice to go out and find that because there are places that does exist, and that truly does matter. We're almost at the conclusion here, fellas. Enjoy God's earthly gifts wisely. Food, celebration, work, wealth, and enjoyment are gifts from God when received with gratitude and wisdom, not as idols to be worshipped. Solomon gives an example here of a feast is made for laughter, and money is the answer for everything, right? If we honor these things wisely and we delegate these things right, we're good stewards with all things that we're blessed with. We can find enjoyment in all these things, in the time that we have, and the gladness that we have that we can spend with each other. Solomon says, invest boldly and diversify. Do not place all your hope in one opportunity. Work diligently, diversify wisely, and trust God with the harvest. Solomon says, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. Just to throw out a few examples of what I've been doing, I've been blessed to do quite a few things here over the past couple of years. I just rolled into insurance almost about a year ago. Been super blessed and happy to do that. And I found great joy in doing the work I've been doing. But on top of that, I've also found myself in all other sorts of investments. I think a lot of us here probably invest in stocks quite a bit. That's great. I've been running a faith-based podcast with a good buddy of mine over here, shout out Josiah, called Kingdom Culture 490. I also just released a song the other day. It's called Treasure. And then many other things, like this is a life where we don't have to grow up and do what mom and dad told us and go to college, get a good job, get a good family, done, right? Why not invest in many ventures? Why not, right? Again, finding that work-life balance at the end of the day, but go out and find your heart's desires, what you want to do and what you can find true purpose, love, and fulfillment in your life and doing. So go out and do many. I read a great book many years ago called The Artist's Way, and one of the quotes that continue to hit me every single day, whether it's the prospecting, whether it's the content creating, whatever it may be, Julia Cameron in her book, The Artist's Way, says, make sure to write, make sure to always say to yourself, great creator, I will provide the quantity You provide the quality. Build up, build amass, find many ventures in life, gather that, and trust in God and finding that quality in it, right? Whether it's your prospects, whether it's your content creation, no matter what it is, whether it's your investments, make sure you trust that as much as you diversify, you're going to get back to you in quality as long as you're faithful to it and you remain consistent with it. Rolling into the aftermath of the subject, as Solomon puts it. I encourage all of you guys, if God willing, if you guys are willing to look into this yourselves, to read through this book. Ecclesiastes, Proverbs is great too. Even Solomon's father, David, in the Psalms. And I hope for all of you, even just across the whole Bible one day. But Solomon, throughout the whole book of Ecclesiastes, he treats all these subjects here like a case study, like a true investigator finding the true purpose in life and what to do and how to live a good and everlasting life. So he says it as if it's like a case study. And he says, to conclude my case here, ultimately, know to remember your Creator while you are young, right? This is why I specifically wanted this group to be a group full of young men, because we're the next up, right? We're the next up. We have a chance here. Like I said, I hope you love your job even more, or you hate it even more, and know that you want to go off and do something else, right? We're all young enough to do that, right? I think we all have a good enough supporting cast, whether it's family or friends, that we can go off and make a quick change, quick pivot in our lives in order to do that, in order to have the courage to do that. So enjoy your youth. Be courageous. Dream boldly. But remember that every gift comes with accountability before God. Live wholeheartedly while keeping His commandments at the center of your life. And I'm going to roll through the whole aftermath of this book here, starting from from chapter 11, 7 through 10, all the way through Ecclesiastes 12, where Solomon says, light is sweet and it pleases the eyes to see the sun. However many years anyone may live, let them enjoy them all, but let them remember the days of darkness, for there will be many. Everything to come is meaningless, ultimately. You who are young, be happy while you are young, and let your heart give you joy in the days of your youth. Follow the ways of your heart and whatever your eyes see, but know that for all these things God will bring you into judgment. So then banish anxiety from your heart and cast off the troubles of your body, for youth and vigor are meaningless. Just to briefly go into that. Actually, you know what? I wanted to do 12 through 8 as well for that. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come and the years approach, when you will say, I find no pleasure in them. Before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars grow dark, and the clouds return after the rain, when the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men stoop, when the grinders cease, because they are few, and those looking through the windows grow dim, when the doors to the street are closed, and the sound of grinding fades, when people rise up at the sound of birds, but all their songs grow faint, when people are afraid of heights and dangers in the streets, when the almond tree blossoms and the grasshopper drags itself along, and desire is no longer stirred, then people go to their eternal home, and mourners go about the streets. Remember Him. Before the silver cord is served and the golden bowl is broken, before the pitcher is shattered at the spring and the wheel broken at the well, and the dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Meaningless, says the teacher. Everything is meaningless. Solomon is saying, everything that we do here, know that God is ultimately going to judge it. Go seek out your greatest desires, right? But if it's not embodied by God, if it's not good, if it's not fruitful, then what is it? Ultimately, it's meaningless, and ultimately there will be consequence when it comes to that. So remember your Creator in the days of your youth, and along with that, wisdom is a lasting wealth. Solomon goes in to say that the words of the wise are like goads, their collected sayings like firmly embedded nails, given by one shepherd. Be warned, my son, of anything in addition to them, of many of making many books there is no end, and much study wearies the body. Solomon is saying there's only so much wisdom that can be obtained, right? The one who will know all amongst all things is ultimately God, right? I hope we can all strive and chase more and more for wisdom as we move on from this day, right? But there's only so much at the end of the day. Finding that work-life balance, finding that wisdom-life balance too, right? There's only so much that we can strive for, achieve, obtain, learn, and research. So honor that and apply all the wisdom that you know and it can apply to yourself in these days of youth. So ultimately, for the conclusion, everything ultimately points to one truth. Fear God, keep his commandments, and trust his sovereignty. He sees every hidden thing, judges perfectly, and holds every moment of our lives in his hands. And for the final send-off, Solomon says, now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. For God, who will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. Again, what I started off here, it's in what we do. It's in the time that we spend amongst others, the work-life balance, right? But let's be real, a lot of our time spent is in the workplace. Find something that you love to do. Emphasize that. Make sure you find people that you can grow and build, right? If this is something for you, I want to see you guys at the next one, right? If this is not something for you, then that's okay too, right? I hope you find it elsewhere where you really need it or where you can realistically find the right people to help you build, grow, and devote yourself into what you do, not just for yourself, but for your friends, family, clients, customers, all who you can serve. For all of this, I mean, Solomon says here in this life, it's so temporary, right? That most things in life are meaningless, that most of it is simply chasing after the wind, and ultimately nothing new is under the sun. Where I think it's very profound in understanding that no matter what we amass here, it's a material world, right? What can we find that will remain up there one day, right? And ultimately, it's people, right? I think ultimately, whatever we're trying to build and grow and strive in life, just as Jesus said in a parable, that like building your house on sand compared to rock, let's make sure we build what we're trying to build here on a firm foundation. Build it with God, right? I'm not saying if you start a plumbing company that up in heaven that the pipes are plentiful and the plumbers are few, right? That's not what I'm trying to say, right? But the outreach and the impact in that good community that you can build with the people that you hire and the people that you serve, how can you show that God-fearing in what you do? How can you help others, and how can you bring heaven down here on earth in what we do and find great joy in? I hope all of you can find that in what you do or what you're going to do. So a few notes and nitpicks that I've learned over the years for myself, for what it's worth, is gaining, giving, yes. It doesn't always take great talent, but in the end, it always takes great audacity. And I think down along the line, if you're in the right profession, that talent will come along with it. But it always takes great audacity. Just have the audacity to do it. Find that edge that people simply just aren't taking advantage of in what you're trying to do. Two very important things, and I had some extra notes here as well. It's two very notable things that I truly believe young men really need. And over the past 2.5 years or so, I've seen it firsthand and how much it's drastically changed and applied me to my life, to being a huge reason in how I even came to do this and had the courage to do this. And it's two things. It's brotherhood and mentorship. I hope we can find brotherhood here amongst each other in this group and circle here, but then amongst with the friends you already have. Make sure you have those brothers. Make sure you have people, whether it's this round table, whether it's friends, whether it's your Bible study, whatever it may be, find that brotherhood. And then second of all, and I truly believe this is a lost art, is seek mentorship. I think for the most part, a lot of us hopefully have pretty good parents in our lives, pretty good aunts and uncles, whatever it may be, and that's great too, right? My dad's not an insurance broker, right? But I can go find mentors who are an insurance broker, right? My dad's not a podcast guy, but I can find fellow content creators or fellow people who have been there, done that, to help guide and mentor, right? Or even just situations in life that your parents can't compare to that other mentors can. Find them. But the thing with mentorship, unlike brotherhood, is that you have to seek it. Solomon says in the book of Proverbs, though it costs all you have, seek wisdom. Why would they ever come to you with a sign, say, hey, take my advice, right? Take my advice. You have to go find that. You have to go plan that. You have to prepare a time to go sit down with them and find, just a half hour with coffee with them. Whatever it may be, find these mentors in your life. And if you can't find them, I have a place for you. Josiah's part of it. Nathan's part of it. And I hope a few of you fellas can be part of it too. There are some great mentors there. Along with that too, another portion in Scripture says, seek a wise counsel. This is how you find it, seeking a wise counsel and finding these mentors that can really pour into you from their life experiences. And then lastly, God is the CEO. Once again, God is the CEO. He's in control of it all. Make sure you meet with the CEO. Brotherhood and mentorship is good, but without that CEO, the main guy, the top dog, living your life, that direction is going to be all over the place, fellas. So that's all I got for you. Can't thank you guys enough for being part of this. There should be more coming out. So again, go ham at it if you guys still want to eat. There's going to be a few sweet treats going around. We're here till 3. Josiah, I also wanted you to share some stuff too. I don't know if you had some stuff prepared, but I'd love to call you up here. Awesome, let's go. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll keep it short and sweet. Obviously, Tommy gave us a lot of just game. Mic'd up. All right. A lot of game just to think through. But what I'll just add on is just an encouragement. Tommy and I both have the same testimonies of God completely transforming every aspect of our lives. That's where we're always going to encourage you to go first. Is just to seek God with your whole heart, and then everything else He promises He will take care of in your life. So it's just seeking His kingdom and His righteousness, and then there's obviously a lot of great tidbits. But what Tommy just read through was Ecclesiastes in the Bible. And the Bible as a whole is just going to be a book of principles, precepts, and just a playbook for your life, where you're not only going to get wisdom on whatever business idea that you're looking for to do, how to live your life, relationship advice, whatever it may be, but I would encourage you, if it's not just for the battle for your own soul, right, but just to get into it for the purpose of just learning and growing, right? Because we're at a very unique and special time in our lives where we're blessed with the opportunity. Either you're single, you're married, maybe you have some young kids, whatever it may be, but this is a lot of where you have that time, that season for growth. You get to be refined by God through fire, through favor, into the people and the men that God is calling you to be. So continue to just seek Him first in the book, spend quality time in prayer with Him. But then also, like Tommy was mentioning here, iron sharpens iron, right? We hear that phrase all the time. So being able to have brothers, whether it's in the workplace, in your own personal lives, that are going to hold you accountable, that are going to be encouraging you along the way, that can build into you, that can support you, is huge. And this is a great way to do it, right? Sitting down with people, breaking bread, that's what you saw Jesus do all the time, right? Was break bread with people, spend quality time with them. So it's good to do this in unique, big formats too, but also just grab a couple guys, right? You saw Jesus do it with a group of 3, then a group of 12, and then 72. So spend time with people that are important to you. Continue to seek Him in every aspect of your life. And then as you grow and as you learn, take those skills. And Tommy mentioned mentorship. That's been something that's been completely huge in my life as well, just finding right people and whatever I'm doing to learn from and just pick their brains, ask a ton of questions, right? You guys all know we've done life, and one of the best ways to grow is just to ask those questions. So keep asking those questions. Find the people that you can, that are ahead of you, that have done more life, right? That have more wisdom than you. Pull them aside and ask them a ton of questions. If you see somebody where you're at, where you want to be, where they are at right there, that's a perfect person to ask. But the second thing I'll say with that is mentor other people, right? So there's a lot of people, I think we all remember being 15, 16, high school, whatever it was for you. But that's not an easy time for a lot of young men, especially as society and this culture progresses. There's just such a need for those young men, right? They're getting a lot of different things from social media, whatever it may be. So find people that you can build into, that you can give some advice, that you can encourage, that you can just love on, and mentor yourself, right? Because that's gonna help you grow as a leader, as a person, too. And then obviously that second part is just people that are walking alongside you. That's what you're gonna find here. So that's one thing I'm gonna encourage as well. And then like Tommy mentioned, continue to create. One of the first things that God tells us about himself is that he's creative, right? So whatever it is that God has blessed you uniquely with, and it's something, right? God, every good gift comes from God above. Find what he has blessed you with and create with it. Take your time, do what you love to do, and continue to seek him that way. Do it boldly. You always see the most successful people in this world, and whatever they do things boldly and with truth and with grace. So it's going to be a whole different mix of that, but 100%, I think Tommy did a great job. There's a lot of great notes in here, and continue to lean on each other. Utilize what God has given you. Focus on the awareness, not the lack, right? There's so much good right around you that the enemy wants you to focus on what you don't have, right? It might be where you started. It could be what you were born into, but focus on that abundance that God has blessed you with, right? Whether it's the people that you are at now, the different lessons that you have, right? Anything in life is either going to be a lesson or a leech, right? So it's either going to suck the blood out of you, it's going to suck the life out of you, or you're going to learn from it and you're going to grow. So there's always two perspectives, two sides of the same coin, whatever event, experience you have. Like Tommy mentioned, a lot of times in those dark times, those dark places where God grows us the most in those seasons, so seek him through that. But also the good times, that's where we see a lot of distractions, people fade away, right? You see examples in countless lives, right, where people, they make it and then they fall away because they get lost in the good. So that's what I'll leave you guys with is just seek God as, just the peace and the fulfillment you're going to get from it. We're all designed for God. We have a God-sized soul. And if that's not something you're at where you're at yet, that's all right? Everybody's journey is different. But get in the Word just to learn and grow, if anything. And then third, whatever you do, be bold with it. Be creative. Lean on the people around you, the people that God has put in your life. He determines the when and the where. And he will have people in your life that can either support you, encourage you, and then those that you can lead as well. And yeah, just continue to love each other and love God first. So I appreciate you guys. I appreciate Tommy, and yeah, looking forward to it. So I appreciate you, brother. Eesh.
Anybody still hungry? Come on, boys, let's eat. Let's
Yeah,
go.
what are you doing? What are you gonna do with all these leftovers, bro? The mic.
Oh, I'm taking it home. I'm taking it home. No cooking for you this week.
Oh yeah, no, I'm feeding the family real good. My mom will still probably cook.
Yeah, I do that and I'm